Section 4 is inverse operations. Probably in class we're going to have you do this in groups, but I typed up a different sheet for that, so maybe your notes don't even have this little space here. But you could do that first, you could do that after the notes, but I'll probably assign that at some point. All right, inverse operations. What in the world are inverse operations? The key is inverse operations, they undo each other. And what I mean by that is they get you back to where you started. So get you back to where you started. So I've got a few examples here. Some get more mathematical than others. But let's say you start, you're in a spot, you walk 4 steps forward. Well, if you want to undo that, if you want to get back to where you started, you're going to have to go 4 steps backwards. So be kind of like a person starts here. They go 1, 2, 3, 4 steps forward to get there. Well, if you want to get back, you take 4 steps backwards. You end up in the same spot. So those would be inverses. 4 steps forwards, 4 steps backward. They undo each other. Now the one, if say you have a number, like number of money in your pocket or in your bank account, you could add 5 to that. Well, if you want to get back to where you started, you would have to undo adding 5, or you would subtract 5. So inverses, a lot of people call those opposites. Technically, it's not opposites in math, but I found if I say to people, what's the inverse of adding 5? They're less likely to come up with subtracting 5 than if I say, what's the opposite of adding 5? So inverse and opposites are kind of similar. You could look at it that way in your brain if you wanted to. Next one, if you take what you have, multiply by 4, to undo that, you would divide by 4. The book has some questions. We're going to build on this inverse thing in a bit, but the book has some questions that this kind of confused people. They call it like an inverse machine, so just kind of wanted to talk through this now so to show you how it works. But let's say you have a number and you could pick any number to start. So everybody pick a number. I'm going to pick the number 4. And this inverse machine, well, we're going to do 2 steps to it and to get to kind of this middle point here. So first 4 plus 3 is 7. So maybe use 4 or take whatever number you had, add 3 to it. Then next step is we're going to multiply by 5. So for me, 7 times 5 is 35. So that gets me to a new spot, kind of like my 4 steps forward. Now we want to work backwards to get to the same spot as what we had before. Well, these two are going to be inverses. So if we want to undo multiplying by 5, we divide by 5, and that will get me to a 7, which you'll notice matches up with that thing right there. Ooh, I forgot I still had it on lightsabers, so 7 and 7. And then if we want to undo the adding 3, well, the inverse of that is to subtract 3. So maybe I'll do like the little lines to show that these two are also inverses. So inverses. And 7 minus 3 gives me 4. So you'll notice then that my starting point and my ending point are the same. So that's one of these inverse machines that we're kind of looking at. Okay, so homework here is at the bottom. You'll notice that there's a couple sections like these here, 22 to 24, that NC means no calculator, and 28 also no calculator. But you're welcome to use a calculator on these first ones, up to number 15 if you'd like. That's all for today. Let me know in class if you have questions.